Hey, Birkett here, along with Carlos Monarrez. And Carlos, we talked a little bit about Matt Patricia's firing, Bob Quinn's firing the other day, and I guess it's time to spin it forward. 5 games left for these Detroit Lions. First one Sunday against the Chicago Bears. And look, I mean, I hate to start off with a prediction, but I expect a little bevel bounce from the Lions here. I mean, interim head coach, and it sort of seems like that happens sometimes. So I think just judging by what people have said this week, that maybe we'll see a decent performance out of the Lions on Sunday.
All right, I let's just be real with the people for just a second, Dave.
Let's
To all
hear
the
it.
good, all the faithful Free Press viewers out there, Dave Birkett was the guy who asked Darrell Bevel when he walked into his first team meeting on Wednesday, did they cheer? So I think Dave wants a little bit of a bounce, and he's been. I think you've been dancing right during the practice portion that's open to reporters, right? There's been music playing. Have you been dancing as well to what was it, Baby, and who else?
Yeah, the baby. That's right. I don't know, Roddy Rich. I forget
You're
who
so
else it
cool.
was, but
Dave knows all the cool new hip artists. So
yeah, no, I mean, look, I mean, Carlos, you downplay this, but I'm just going to tell you that I had a position coach, hasn't been in Detroit, reached out to me today to say that he read the story about Darrell Bevel and having a new attitude, new energy, whatever, and he said he's gone through this before in the NFL. Where there's been midseason coaching changes, and he said there's absolutely something to that. When you take away, you eliminate some of the distractions, some of the other things that can be on people's mind, and you just allow them to have a change of scenery, a change of environment, that helps people in the locker room concentrate on their job, do their job a little bit better. And I think, as Adrian Peterson said today, when things are going as bad as they have at times, like, hey, you make a change and you see what happens. And so, look, I don't know that the Lions are, certainly not predicting they're about to go 5-0 here, but let's be honest, they're playing a not very good Chicago Bears team too. And so, do I think the Lions can get a little lift here in Darrell Bevel's first game as interim coach? I do. I think this is something that if Kenny Galladay, DeAndre Swift, maybe if one of those guys plays, maybe there's a little bit, maybe that adds a little bit to this Lions offense.
yeah, I agree with you with this bounce of no matter who it is, that you've been under this kind of cloudy gloom for most of the season, and some reporters have been writing about fire Patricia the whole year. So of course, it's always,
Clairvoyant, what can I say?
yeah, you're prescient. And so, it's a gloom, they get it. They know they're not stupid. They read what we write and what's being said and all that. So, it's been like they can finally exhale, and it's a weight that's been lifted. It almost doesn't even matter who the coach is. So I'm sure that's some, a decision has been made. They don't have to think about it anymore. After this week, we're not going to be asking them about it.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a certain lightness that comes with that. Maybe a more, a freer attitude. Realistically, the NFL is just, it's still a game of, your problems are not going to be fixed, immediately. You're not going to play that much, it's not like, and I'll say this, in defense of your favorite coach, Matt Patricia, it wasn't an effort issue with the Lions. It wasn't a thing where they had stopped playing for him
No, it
they
was a
were,
bad coach issue.
well, I mean, you can say what you want. Maybe it was a bad coach issue, but I'm just saying that the players themselves were still giving the same effort, I think. And maybe that's true. Maybe Darrell Bevel he and Corey Unlin have said, this week, you're not going to change a team that much in a week. There's just only so much you can do. So expecting miracles, kind of crazy. And the one thing I've heard all week, Dave, and I don't know if you've heard it as well, but just they keep saying, we're going to help Bev. We're going to help Bev. All the coaches are going to help Bev. Well, yeah, because you got to pick up some slack. Being the head coach, and especially first-time head coach, there's a lot of adjustment. And like
Absolutely.
he said, like he was talking about Thursday today, he was saying that his first day of practice didn't really end until past midnight. It went all day. How much pressure, and he's embracing it, but it's a lot. It's a lot to have to handle this late in the season. You've got issues with the team. So there may be I think the bounce is going to be more of a perception thing from our point of view of, the players seem lighter, but that's really not going to help them in the game, I think. But
Well, I just was, as you were talking there, I'm sorry, I was looking down at my phone there. I was looking up a stat. My friend Dan Weeder from Chicago Trib sent me. We were talking yesterday about this, and he had started the research, and he had shared it with me a little bit. And if I did my quick math right, teams in the first game under their interim coach after firing our coach midseason, this is the last 10 years or so, I think it was 13-8. So, I mean, look, I don't know what that means, right? It's not like it's 15-2, but it's also not like it's 2-15 and you're firing teams from bad coaches. So, I think if you just look at it historically, that maybe there is a little lift that teams get from, a change. But Carlos, you're right. I mean, I've never, and I've said this, right? I never sensed that players quit this year. That wasn't an issue. I just sensed that they were tired of everything. Maybe it was tired of Patricia and his ways. Maybe it was just tired of the losing. I mean, this thing has been going on for so long, not just this year, but in the careers of some of these guys, right? Matthew Stafford, 12 years. And we've talked about how he's looked beat down at times. So sometimes it's just good to get a fresh voice, to get a kick in the butt, frankly, that maybe propels you a little bit going forward, because we all know the talent in this league, right? I mean, we're not talking Kansas City Chiefs up here, New York Jets down here. For just about everyone else in the league, you're in that sort of middle of the pack. And I think the Lions certainly are, and the Bears certainly are. So there's not a huge difference when it comes to the talent on the field.
The one thing I'll say for the Bears is that they're significantly better in defense. The Lions probably have got a better teams unit overall, but their defense is very good. The Lions don't have anything other than their special teams that's very good. So that's kind of what with the Bears, and it's a home game for the Bears. Bears they're now fighting for their coach's job. Matt Nagy, 5 straight losses. I think saw someone, I don't know, tweeted it. Was it Weeder or Brad Biggs or someone tweeted it's been like 49 days on Sunday since their last win.
That's nothing. Come on. We
won
a year almost.
Or 2008.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's getting kind of sketchy over there at Hallis Hall, and they're worried, and it's a home game. And, that's the thing. It's a trap game for the Bears because, man, as bad as they are, the Lions are considered a worse team. They've gone through a regime change recently. And how are you going to lose to them at home at Soldier Field? So that's a bad loss for the Bears this week if they take it.
Absolutely. And Carlos, I do want to say one thing. You're right. The Bears have a good defense, or depending on who's out there, right? If Akeem Hicks is healthy, if Khalil Mack is healthy, I think they have a really good defense. And maybe the Lions aren't great anywhere, but they are significantly better than the Bears at the quarterback position. And I know you're leading the Stafford, hate bandwagon here. And I'm not saying Stafford's playing at a Pro Bowl level, but we're also talking about Mitch Trubisky, who outside of the games against the Lions, and I realize he's playing the Lions this week, is not a very good quarterback, right? I mean, down in like the non-starting caliber starting quarterbacks in the league. So where Stafford is still a starting quarterback in this NFL. So I think the Lions have an advantage at the most important position. And frankly, one of these days, they're going to be able to solve the Mitch Trubisky, question that everyone else seems to solve with these.
Is it the Sid Luckman question since the 30s or whatever it's been going on?
Yeah. They have not had one.
No. I mean, Trubisky, I looked it up. He's 4-2 against the Lions lifetime, 14 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. I mean, that's Hall of Fame stuff. If he just kept that, if he could only play the Lions every week, first ballot Hall of Famer. Stafford. Problem with Stafford is, he hasn't been great this season. Is he better than Trubisky? Yeah, but he hasn't been the difference maker. He hasn't. We're not going to get into a whole Stafford rant, but right, for 12 years, it hasn't really made that much difference of how he should be. He should have been better than Philip Walker, but that didn't work out either. So, that's Stafford, too many turnovers. I mean, Trubisky had 3 turnovers last week, two interceptions and a fumble. They got pounded by the Packers. So he hasn't exactly looked better, in his return since getting benched. But there's enough. The one thing with the Lions, that we've seen, and it's that cliche about complimentary football, but really that is what it comes down to. And when you have a good thing you can rely on, which for the Lions, it should have been the offense this year. For the Bears, it's the defense, and it continues to be the defense. So if you keep giving Trubisky chances and he limits his turnovers, they have somewhat of a chance. I like their chances better than the Lions having a porous defense. I don't know. Are you playing cornerback this week? I'm not sure who's playing cornerback for the Lions this week.
Got to try out tomorrow. We'll see.
Try out. Okay. I'll probably rip you if you play, but stock down. Birkett already have it written. And
we've changed. Did you not read the paper on Monday? We have changed the stock. I have changed the stock down this year. It is now looking at head coaching candidates and their stock because that's what matters. So we're talking the game here, but anyways,
is that going the whole season now?
I'm in charge. I am in charge of my own stock watch. So I think I'm just going to roll with it. Right. I mean, why not? There's maybe we'll run into some issue with the Saturday game the Lions have, but yeah.
But so every Monday now it's going to be a coaching stock watch, not a player stock watch.
Carlos, you've known me long enough that to know that I like to sort of fly by the seat of my pants with some of these things. Right. And I was just thinking people care more about the stock watch than they do about, what's going on with the third linebacker or whoever's going to make my stock down or stock up list. So, maybe it's a little more work on Saturday or Sunday in terms of catching up on, what all the coaches did, especially on deadline. But I think that's probably in our readers' best interest. So that's the direction that I'm leaning right now.
All right. As a former editor, Dave, I know you always listen to me. So how about this? Regular stock watch for the players for Monday, and then a coach stock watch on Tuesday for the coaches. So you give yourself enough time, and that's another stock watch that people will get to subscribe to and look at. How about that?
Are you saying I don't do enough work already? Is that where we're headed with this? You just want me to write
one
more story?
You do one less thing on Monday for Tuesday. That's what I'm trying to take work off your plate.
Well, at some point here, I have to bring back the draft watch column. And so, we need to look at who the Lions are tanking for this year. Frankly, it's not going to be Trevor, right? I mean, they're certainly not going to get Trevor, but one of these cornerbacks, right? Are you going to losing for Lance? Is that what's going on? Are we, no wins for Wilson? I don't know. I don't know exactly what we're going to do. Right. So we'll see. I think I had said play like Gak for Zach, but we'll see. That's to be determined. So,
well, that brings me to the next thing about the Bears is this is a really important game because the Bears aren't far behind the Lions in the draft order here. You need the Lions to keep losing because you can just see the Lions winning enough and the Bears losing enough and the Bears jump over them and they need a quarterback and they go get Kyle Trask or Zach Wilson or someone like, but we won that. Remember when the Vikings had the wild card sewed up and they just, they laid down, they came to Ford Field and the Lions went out there and Stafford scored 5 touchdowns and caught a pass and yay, they won that meaningless game and they dropped right behind the Bears. And so now they're going to miss out on the quarterback they really want.
Look, I think a lot of fans will agree with you on that, but I don't think anyone in the locker room will, right? Everyone in the locker room is playing for their jobs, and those are the ones that are on the field. So as much as I think everyone watching this is like, Carlos is right for once, first time all season he's been right. I think, Carlos is right? We want a better draft pick. Darrell Bevell doesn't think that way. Braden Coombs doesn't think that way. Matthew Stafford. I mean, none of the players out there are trying to lose. The Lions certainly are not trying to lose top down, right? No one is giving any orders for them to sit their best players. So I think, we're going to have a game on Sunday. And look, I think it's going to be a close one. And so let's end this here with some predictions, Carlos. I think you know where I stand on this. I probably know where you stand, but I'm going to give you the floor. What do you see happening at Soldier Field on Sunday?
I'm going to say that it's going to be a Bears win, close. Bears 21-17.
Still not feeling the Lions offense, huh?
No, zero confidence in the Lions offense, especially against this defense. I just don't. They haven't looked good. Who knows about Golladay? I would doubt Golladay plays, but Swift cleared from concussion protocol, but
didn't practice on Thursday, so he hasn't played practice in 2 weeks. So you got to be careful with his reps too, I would think. So
You know what? And this is the thing where I always, we'll never know the truth behind this, but I would hope that Sheila, Hamp steps in and like, hey, let's be careful with these guys. Not telling them you got to lie down here, but let's not go out of our way to injure players or compromise them for meaningless wins here. Like, I know you've got all kinds of different, the fans, you've got ownership, you've got players and coaches. They all have kind of different agendas. But I wouldn't be rushing anyone back to win a meaningless game. And this is their last of their winnable games. After this, they have a tough 4-game stretch. So it may not even matter if they beat the Bears. They're probably not going to win out the rest of the way. They're probably going to lose out. But I just don't like it. I think the Bears defense is still pretty good. I think Mack he's on track to play. So Stafford hasn't looked good, been taking a lot of sacks. And Stafford, on the one hand, he wants to prove that he's tough, that he's not getting hurt more and more. But on the other hand, man, another serious injury going into the offseason, man, that's not good. At 33, whether the Lions want to trade him, whether he wants to look for a new employer, I really think Stafford wants to go to another team as soon as possible. So getting crushed by, Trevathan or Hicks or, Mack 7 times, getting thrown into the hard, Soldier Field, tundra, turf,
Carlos, it confuses me how all of a sudden now again you're Mr. Negative that he's Stafford, he's going to be worried about this injury and getting crushed and doing this and for it was so rosy with you for the last 12 months really, I guess when
the season's been in the toilet now. I mean, they flushed it.
Well, it was in the toilet long ago, and you were still rosy when your guy Matt Patricia was coach, and so now that he's not, the negativity comes back. Negative Carlos. So I like negative Carlos, but I just I missed it. I missed it for 2 years, I guess. But no, look, I just want to make this point, right? You said maybe Sheila says, hey, don't play Kenny or be careful with DeAndre Swift. This is the same owner who said 2 weeks ago we looked like we were surely headed to the playoffs. And then they lost the 2 games. So I don't know that she's quite going to go there. I think she's still holding out hope that they have some success on the field and, gives her some tough decisions to make about, what happens with Darrell Bevel's future or the GMs or, the direction that they go this offseason, I guess. So look, I know you have a little bit of a low scoring game. I don't think this is going to be a high scoring game by any means, but I do see the Lions putting up some points. And I don't know about Kenny Galladay. I don't know about DeAndre Swift. I think there's, maybe especially with Swift, I think we probably do see him since he's out of concussion protocol. But again, he hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. So, I'm certainly not expecting him to play 50 snaps. Still, I think the Lions put up some points against the Bears. And I think I've got this one at 24-17 Lions. I don't trust Trubisky. The whole quarterback situation. I think the Lions have more points in them, and maybe Matt Prater makes a 50-yard field goal or something to, make it 24-17.
Into the wind at Soldier Field from
whipping win
64. Yeah. No, and let me ask you, so do you, if you're the Lions, if you're whatever, you're king of the Lions, do you play Galladay and Swift?
My doctors say, yeah, I play them. I mean, look, the Galladay thing, frankly, 2 weeks ago, it looked like he was going to come back, right? It looked like he was going to miss the 2 games. It's sort of the impression that I was under, and he went out and practiced, and then the next day couldn't go. So he obviously had a little bit of a setback there, and I think Bev, indicated as much in his Zoom on Wednesday. The Swift thing's a little weird because Adrian Peterson, the way he talked today, it was like, Swift is still dealing with this, and it's such an issue, and it just, gave me Jabba Best flashbacks. And then all of a sudden, he's cleared concussion protocol and he didn't practice because he was sick. So that was a little bit of a head scratcher. But again, doctors say you're good to go. You're good to go. And if those guys are both able, I would definitely have them out there because I think you and I can both agree on this, that the Lions offense is 180-degree different when both those guys are on the field. They need Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay is a difference maker. DeAndre Swift is, maybe he's not quite that difference maker yet, still a rookie, but what he does at the running back position is something none of the other Lions running backs can do. So they are a completely different offense if both those two are on the field.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I hope that, I don't know. To me, there's only one reason to, one thing you're playing for in its draft position. I think what you'd want is most people, the team owner, whatever, decision makers, they want to split the baby. They want them to play well but lose, so that it looks good. It's not embarrassing. It's a tough loss, but you lose, you move up the draft position. And, at this point, it's all about next year. At this point, the general manager, the coach, they only have 5 draft picks. It's going to be hard to get your best.
That's my negative guy. That's my guy. Negative Carlos is back. I love it. I love having negative Carlos back, man. Missed him.
No, it's not. It's real. The problem is it's realistic, Carlos, and everybody views it through their own prism of if you're negative, if you're positive, and whatever. I get emails sometimes on some things I write of, why are you so negative, followed by why are you so positive? Like you choose to see the way, it's like a Rorschach test, right? Like what you see is what you want to see. So anyway, realistic Carlos says that, I'm sure you're going to be doing coaching searchings and stories and general managers. And, I want you to ask them, like, what do you think about 5 draft picks? There's always a way to get more draft picks, but right now they're starting at a deficit, so Detroit's not exactly, it's not New York, it's not LA, it's not even Chicago. So you're already kind of dealing with a little bit of a hindrance on the market you're in, the losing culture, all these different things, right? Stafford, questions about Stafford, Coach Killer, all that kind of stuff. Like you got to really, it's not going to be as easy of a sell. I mean, what's the best selling point right now for Lions? If you're Martha, if you're Sheila, what's your selling point? Give me your one big selling point.
I just need to say, I wish we could go back to the beginning of this and I could just trumpet loud and clear. Realistic Carlos is back. Realistic Carlos was nowhere to be found when Matt Patricia was losing whatever, 20 of the last 24 games or whatever he is. But here, realistic Carlos is back. I love it. The biggest selling point for the Lions is no, look, I mean, I've Carlos, but that's the thing. I've said it too, right? The Lions' job is not as good as the Houston Texans' job because you have a young, Deshaun Watson. Look, no one wants to be in Jacksonville, but Jacksonville, you got a ton of cap room. You got, the number 2 pick in the draft. So there's some things to work with. You can win, in that scenario. The Jets, same thing. The Jets, look, across the league, the Lions' job itself is viewed as a better job than the Jets' job, just because ownership. Again, I've said this before. The Fords they're respected across the league. They're one of the, old time franchises. But when you get Trevor Lawrence, that automatically vaults you over top, right? Like that job is definitely better than Lions' job. So when it comes to the pecking order of these jobs, I don't think anyone should be confused that the Lions are not 1, and they're probably not going to be 2 or 3. If the Chargers job opens, you got Justin Herbert, they're not going to be ahead of, there are huge major selling points with those other ones where you're 100% right. You got a 33-year-old quarterback who needs a contract extension soon, who, you need a totally rebuilt defense. So there's a lot of work to do in Detroit, but hey, end of the day, it's 1 of 32. They're going to get somebody good for it. And, I think the candidate pool will be different than it will be for some of those other jobs. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You just got to make sure you find the right job, maybe find the right GM so you can get the right coach in place, and then you can go forward, and then you can deal with realistic Carlos for the next however many years you're here. So I'm glad to have you back, Carlos. It's been a long time. It's good to have you back, man. Good to have you back.
It's good to be back, Dave. That's the only thing is that, realistically, you just got to think about what resources do you have? What capital do you have? I would say, since you refused to answer my question, the one selling point that the Lions do have is they've got the Fords who don't meddle. That's definitely true. They hire their people and they don't meddle. You wrote about it. Perhaps the power structure needs to change a little bit with Rod Wood and how much power the new GM has, because they're not going to be team president. Sheila said that's not happening, that Rod's keeping his title and all that. His job's not changing. So that's only a little bit of a thing, but the Fords don't mess with things. And even with Rod Wood, they hire their people and let them do their stuff, probably to the fans' disappointment, too long sometimes, but that's it. But that's it. I mean, and you know the truth, Dave, the general managers and the coaches, they all think they invented football when they get hired. They all think, I know better. I have the best system. I have the best ideas. Oh, I don't care. Woody Johnson, whatever. Every owner, billionaire owner is the same. I'll handle it fine. And the Jets, by the way, they got like 10 draft picks, two in the first round, and they're going to have the number one. I mean, that's the job. I mean, that's the general manager and coach job that you want. I mean, you're getting a generational quarterback, you're New York.
Well, sure. In New York, where you can be a superstar too. I mean, look, there's definitely something about that. And Carlos, you're not going to like this, but one other selling point, and this goes maybe to your point of whoever they hire feeling like, I can do this, right? I'm going to make this happen. Stafford's going to be a selling point for some people too. And so fans out there might not like to hear that.
I'm leaving.
No, you can leave because we got to wrap this up. But I'm just saying Stafford's going to be a selling point for people because, again, when you look across the league, who would you rather have, Stafford or Mitch Trubisky, right? I mean, Stafford or Drew Lock, the Denver job could be open, right? I mean, so when you look at the quarterback situation across the league, again, I've written it, right? At 33 years old, the Lions do need to find a long-term replacement for Matthew Stafford. But there's a chance that whatever regime comes in here looks at it and says, you know what? Matthew's got another 6 or 7 good years in him, right? He can make it till he's 38, whatever it is. So, we're going to roll with him for the time being. I'm just making sure everyone is aware of that situation. That
6 or 7, you said 6 or 7, someone might say 6 or 7.
33, other than 34, 35, 36, 37. Yeah. I mean, so that would take him to 38. That would take him to year 30 or till his age 38 season. So again, I'm just telling you that there are people out there that will look at that and say, Matthew Stafford is a selling point because I don't need to rebuild the quarterback position, right? I can make a run at this for the next 5 years and I can figure that quarterback position out. My Stafford can be part of my 5-year plan and then I can replace him after that. So I do think that, again, some people might not like that, but Stafford is still a good quarterback and he's still more talented than a whole lot of quarterbacks in this NFL. And so I think people should just be wary of that. So
I think Stafford.
Last word, make it quick because our editors are going to be they're going to be extremely happy that negative Carlos is back, but they are going to be extremely mad that we went way over time again.
Yeah, Stafford. I mean, I think you're right in that he buys you at least a year, hopefully. You don't have to start because if you're going to pick somewhere in the higher part of the top 10, you're not going to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. So yeah, you don't have to start your guy. He gives you a little bit of insurance. I totally disagree with the whole 5 to 10 year plan. I think
5 years. That GM's coming with 5-year plans. Stafford
5-year plans
can play for 5 years.
Yeah, that's not happening. And to be fair, everybody says the same thing about Stafford when they come in, is he's smart, he's tough, because Stafford's impressive. When you talk to him, he really knows football. He knows what to do. He knows, whether he executes it or not is a different thing, but for sure, that is something. It's not like the cupboard's bare at quarterback and, oh my God, if we don't get our guy, we're screwed. We have to hit a home run, you can year if you need to. So, yeah, you're kind of right. But also Stafford's, as a really wise sports writer once told me, he's just good enough to get 3 coaches fired. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to be number 4 on his list.
That's very true. We'll leave it at that. We'll give negative Carlos the last word, the realistic Carlos the last word on that. But it is good to have you back, Carlos. Carlos has the Bears winning, as you'd expect. He has the Bears winning this week after picking the Lions a whole bunch of times straight. I have the Lions winning, so we flipped here. We flipped. Carlos and I flipped. We were, next time I'll do it from your basement. You do it from my office right here. So. But that'll do it for us. We're going to leave it here. Remember, plenty of coaching, search news, GM search news coming your way on freep.com. And, of course, coverage of this weekend's game where I expect the Lions to get a bevel bounce. For Carlos Monarrez, I'm Dave Birkett, freep.com.